Okay, these are pens that are on the way later today to California. Here they go. And the pens I'm selecting are ones that have variations on a theme of nibbage, and I may throw in another one or two along with the ones I'm sending. They're in no particular order, but this is how I'm going to do it. First of all, I have pieces of paper. There are two sides to these pieces of paper. One side is, come on, one side is smooth, the other side is slightly textured. And how can you tell that? In this light there. So it sort of resembles watercolor paper on one side, and on the flip side, it's smoother. I guess you can tell a little bit that it's smoother. Cat, I can't help you. Eat your own food. Play with yourself. So, which side will I write on? I think I'll write on the rougher side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a pen. This is only a test, and all of these pens should have sacks and should work. But I think for the moment, what I'd like to have my customer in California do is just dip them, put them in ink and dip them, and just write with them, at home. You can fill them if you want, but no need. I'd rather have you write with them without filling them. Because sometimes when you fill them with one kind of ink and they've been dipped in other kind of ink, and the inks don't match very well, so they might skip or get clogged. So it might work when you're dipping it too, for that matter, I guess. So what I'm going to do for each of these pens, I'm going to write a description of the pen, and then I'm going to do some squiggles. And so this is a Wahl Eversharp, WAHL Eversharp ring top gold fill. I'll just say chevron pattern. Okay. Now, this pen is just the weight of the pen will make a line, of course. The line is relatively thin. Press down, and you get, a line that's that thick. It's railroading a little bit, maybe because I'm dipping it rather than filling it. Who knows? But play around with it. You can go. That the range is shown on the first page, the first line. You see the range. So press down that hard on the downstroke. Lift up on the upstroke. Try to make it as thin a line as you can. This railroading is bothering me a little bit. Why is it doing that, Per Gustafson? I don't know. But it's not bothering me enough to bother fixing it. I can tweak it later. But anyway, so have fun with this one. So do I need to do it on both sides of this paper, do you think? I think I'll just work on the rough side. I'll try to leave, half the page for you to play around with it for each one. So that's number one. So nice, not overly fine, but a nice fine, I guess, to a relatively nice broad. So there we got that one down. Where are these going to go? What box will I put these in? Put them over here. While we're on the Wahl Eversharp, here's a Wahl Eversharp with clip and dent and ding. This one has I can tell right now it's going to be a tighter nib, but there's nothing wrong with that. let's see what this one does. So wall, Eversharp, sharp with clip, gold fill. And this is the Greek key pattern. It's supposed to be a Y, not W. So finer than the last one, not as flexible. So this one, the range is a little narrower, and then flexing with vintage flex. But the range is really sweet on this. So again, don't line no fatter than that really. But really quite a lovely little number. And it does have looks like, the Duesenberg car door slammed on it. There's a little dent and ding here. But again, this is about the nib. It's not about the pen. While we're on Eversharp, we have a Skyline. Now a Skyline is a nice pen to buy because there are so many of them around that you could easily buy, a Skyline pen that's, chewed up or dinged up or has a crack in the cap or whatever, and yank the nib out and it'll fit in almost any other Skyline. I'm lying there. Skylines came in a couple different sizes, and sometimes they had big nibs, sometimes they had small nibs. But this one again, Eversharp Skyline in burgundy. So quite lovely. It does not press, there's not much of a range here, but there's a certain sharpness and precision to this pen. It makes you want to be accurate in your description of the whatever you're describing. It's teeth grinding exact. I don't know how better to describe it. It just sort of wants you to not be poetic in your description. The avalanche killed 18 people and 1 dog and deposited 5,000 tons of snow, 5,083 tons of snow on the little alpine village. So it sort of makes me sit up straight to use this pen. So it may make someone else sit up straight too. It's good to sit up straight. So we've got 3 walls, and then we have this one. So another wall, Eversharp, hard rubber, Greek key. This one, if I remember, this one has a really long, slender nib that's wants to be flexible. There's a little tightness in it, I feel, but we'll see what happens when we write with it. Ooh, this is sweet. This is a really nice nib. Wall, hard rubber, Greek key. This one, it writes really nice on this paper. This is very smooth paper from 1880. This is paper from 2023. This one makes me want to be accurate too. It's like the love child of the one I just showed you, except it wants to also write poetry. It did not want to go into the father's banking business. Dear, let him try to be a poet. He's gonna go into my banking business, says the dad, and the mother says, I tell you what, I'll use my money. In fact, you married me for my money. I'm the one that has the money, dear, invested in your bank. It's my money. I'm sending him to art school to learn how to make art and write poetry and stuff. Why is this purple ink? I guess I must have had purple ink in this pen once upon a time. Really, really sweet pen. Also the length of it and the weight of it. It's really quite, everything about it is right. I don't know. Everything. I mean, all of the pens are right. This one though, there's just something really, really satisfying about the length of the pen and the thinness of the pen and the length of the nib. Everything about it has this elegance to it that is really, really sweet. And if this nib were put in a different pen, it may not be as elegant. It might still write exactly the same, but I might choose to write different words. That is a lovely pen. Okay, am I all done with the Walt Eversharps? I guess I am. Let's go to Sheaffer. It seems to me I've got two Sheaffers here. Waterman, unknown. I've got two Sheaffers. Let's try this Sheaffer. I'll tell you in a moment, Sudhir Eby, he or she, I don't know if Sudhir is what gender Sudhi is, but asked how I decide what is my everyday carry. Well, the easy question is I never leave the house, it seems. So, and part of that reason might be because I can never decide what I'm going to carry with me. I'm always but I have some in my pocket. There's usually a pen in my pocket, but I may use one of these if I'm sitting down at this desk and I've got a desk that's covered in pens in the other room that I might use rather than what it's in my pocket. So anyway, this one is a Sheaffer ring top, hard rubber. This one has a number 2 nib, and it really likes to flex, but it also likes to railroad. And I don't quite know why that's doing that, but again, that's just something that one can tweak and fix. It likes to laugh out loud. This is the comedian of the group. It likes to tell a funny, slightly raunchy, maybe not quite so PC joke, just to see what sort of reaction happens. So, but it has a really nice spring to it, and try to ignore the railroading. Again, I don't know why that's happening. I should be able to figure that out, but I'm not going to let it bother me right now. It's a very different, entirely different nib to the one that I just showed you. This one isn't a very good poet. he writes dirty limericks. The other one writes more sophisticated poetry. This one is the dirty limerick kind. And again, I don't know why it's reloading. Don't worry about it though. Just dip it, enjoy it. Don't make a line thicker than that. This is the nib that is right now of the ones you're getting. This is the one that might be the most fragile. It does tell me to not press down any further, but it says it very quietly. And that's a, why is it doing that? I really honestly don't know, but have fun trying it out. Okay, Sheaffer. Okay, this Sheaffer, you're getting this one because this one is really, really fine. Prickly fine. With just a hint of flexibility, which is really, really fun to play with. So black Sheaffer. Dip it in the ink here. Doesn't like reverse writing, that's for sure. See, it's making a line on this paper without a problem. Here it skips occasionally. This paper might be coated with a particular surface, a particular reason, because this is supposed to be watercolor paper. So, each paper you try pens on are going to act differently. What this paper, why it works on this paper and not on this paper, you'll need a chemist to explain. I know that if you tried this pen on regular, cheap legal paper you get at the dime store, I don't know if they even have dime stores anymore, you buy at Staples or at Target, it'll probably bleed or tear the paper because it's so fibrous. So again, this is pretty good paper to try pens out. It's not bleeding, but again, the skipping aspect that's happening, and maybe that was the problem with the railroading, is there sometimes papers are coated with or finished in a particular way that cause pens to skip a little bit. So this one, again, the range is, it wants to not talk out loud, but you can, make a line that's that thick in it. But it really prefers to whisper. But it's really cool. It's really a neat ride, as my friend Ted Clausen would say. It's fun to drive this pen. So 2 Sheaffers. Seems we have an off-brand here and a Moore. We'll try the Moore first. Another ring top pen. Moore nibs generally are a little fragile. They make nice nibs, but they're often cracked in the back. This one is not cracked in the back. It's like they put a nib that's too big into a hole that's too small, and it cracks the back. I don't know what you're going to think about this nib. It's similar maybe to the Wahl pens, maybe a little broader. Again, they're also different. They may not feel all that different to you, but they are different, clearly. This one's kind of wetter. This is an off-brand. Do I want to send you this one or not? This one is an off-brand pen, warranted nib, I think. But it's very flexible, and it's a warranted number 3. Oh, I can see why this one is flexible, so you're not going to get this one. Here's the breather hole, and here's a little tiny crack going that way and a little tiny crack going that way. So no, you're not going to get this pen. There is a woman in my building who loves having tea, formal tea parties, and she invites other women from the building and from around the neighborhood to have tea with her, and she has them wearing hats, and she makes little petit four candies and cookies or whatever, and has tea, and then writes name tags. So, Brenda is going to be there, and she tried a pen of mine, and she said, "Oh God, I really love this one." And I said, "Well, I'm not going to sell you that pen because it has a crack on the nib, but I want you to use the pen, and when it finally breaks, I'll sell you another. I'll sell you one, or I'll give you another one that's broken." So this one I may end up letting her use, because again, she uses it so infrequently, and I know that it'll do what it needs to do for her. And the one that I loaned her, she's had it for maybe 6 years, and with a crack in it, and does stuff like this, and still hasn't broken. So that one will go to her, so it's not going to go to you. Waterman. Okay, what is this one like? Oh dear, Nathan Tardif and I are the same. We are about as far apart as you can get in many ways. But we do share a love of pens and the desire that everyone on the planet should have a fountain pen in their hand. But he's doing more toward that end than I am. He's actually making pens to sell to people all over the world. Nathan is just a nut, though. I've known him for over 40 years. He was in junior high when I met him for the first time. And anyway, so Waterman 52.5 V ring top. V meant vest pocket pen, so this could have been on a watch chain. It's the half meant thin, 5 meant lever filling, and 2 meant number 2 nib. So this has a lovely smooth. This might seem in a way smoother than the Wahl Eversharps that are sort of similar. It has a very rubbery nib to it. Really fun. The person that's getting these pens to try out, writes really big, and I think that this pen would, I think all the pens can write the way he likes to write. He might enjoy, I don't know, who knows what he's going to like. I'm sure he's going to like every single one of these. There's nothing dislikable about these pens. Okay, here is a Waterman nurse's pen, or they were often referred to that because they are this color that would match the nurse's outfit. I'm just going to call it a nurse's pen, Waterman Nurse pen. Very smooth nib as well, but there's this little bit of flex to it that's fun. It just makes you want to drive it all day long. Makes you want to fill out those charts at the end of the bed. Patient, XYZ, still dead. Bedpan still empty. Temperature, room temperature. It's really a sweet nib. Okay. Put that away. So far, he's not yet getting a wet noodle. Do I need to put a wet noodle nib in a pen here for him to play with? This is a Waterman 52, missing a clip. I may this nib is maybe too similar to the one I just showed. So let me see if I can put a should I send it, put this nib in there? Maybe I'll put this nib in that pen. Let's just see if it works. He wanted me to send him, or he wants to buy a Sterling Overlay Waterman, and I don't know whether I have any for him that he can buy. I don't know what duplicates I have. This is really tight coming out of this one. But I know that at the pen show, he'll be able to buy a Sterling Overlay pen easily. And maybe if he wants a nib that's more flexible, we can just swap it out. Is this going to fit in here? Yes. The nice thing about Waterman #2 pens is they are almost always, well, not always, they're pretty interchangeable. You can take yeah, this is a lovely nib, the one that was in here, but it's a little too similar to what he's getting in other pens. So start over. This will probably be the most flexible one you're going to get. I may send another one. I don't know when I get around to it. This is a Waterman. Oh, this is a eyedrop fill pen, and it seems tight. It just needs to be soaked. But this is a Waterman. But just dip it. Waterman 12. Oh, that's a Waterman 72, which means a screw cap eyedrop filler. But anyway, ignore the barrel. But it's the nib again. Nice and flexible, nice and wet. Really a sweet nib. So that one goes over here. I don't know how many pens that is, and I think probably if I were to show 10 people those 10 pens, they might say there are only three kinds of pens here. There's fine, and there's flex, and there's something in between. The variety is a little bit different. I almost was going to send you this one. This is a Skyline, really wet Skyline nib. I think you'll like this. I'll bring this along with me. It just has the wrong cap. This is supposed to be black, or the barrel is supposed to be blue. And I'll bring it with me, mainly for me to draw with. I plan on doing a lot of drawings in California, and this is a pen that I could feel very comfortable handing to any artist and say, you know, if you want to borrow a vintage fountain pen from 1940 to do some drawings, this is a really good one for you to try. And it appears to be smooth. You can sort of push it around anywhere you want it. This is a great one for drawing. It might be a little bit wet and a little sloppy for calligraphy, but I think it's a lovely pen. I'll bring it to California with me, and if I can find the right cap and barrel, maybe I'll even sell it. And I can sell it the way it is now too, but it's one I want to do some drawing with, and I want to be able to, if I do meet up with other artists, I want them to try this pen out, just because it's an easy one to love for drawing, and it's nice having a pen that can do that. What does this one do? Another Sheaffer. Lovely nib, lovely pen. Lovely everything. I'll bring it to California. Is there any other pen that's that I can send out to Dr. C? What is Dr. C getting? I'll do a little recap in a minute. Dr. C is getting maybe 10, 9 or 10. Oh, there's one I forgot. I forgot this Waterman. This one, I'm including this one. It's a Waterman C Taper-Rite pen. And it's just a really fun sort of short, stubby pen. Waterman Taper-Rite. And it just, you can push it around. It likes to be manhandled. Just a different feel of a pen. I like its little tiny clip. Everything about it is really, really fun. So I'll send this to him as well. And again, these aren't necessarily meant for him to buy. He doesn't have to buy a single one. But I won't do a recap. You can watch the video again. But these are the pens that I'm going to put in a box and send to him today. And I may include one more, but I may not. I just don't know. I will be bringing him this nib, which is a Frankenpen, gold tip pen nib. I'll try to find a barrel that this fits in, because he wanted a Frankenpen. using a gold Victorian dip nib, but they're so tricky to make work, and they sort of have to be used at home rather than filling them up and carrying them with you, just because they're, you don't have to, you can watch my videos about Frankenpens to hear what I have to say about them. The gist is you really need a lot of ink. You need a gallon of ink up at the bow every time, and normally a fountain pen feed may not have enough of a flow to make it happen, so I always use them at the desk. I dip them and I write. I don't fill them and write with them. I'll always dip. What is this one? Maybe I'll send him this one. Why is it the ink? Why is everything railroading? It's the paper. And my handprints are all over this paper. The oil of your fingers in your hand will cause a resist to happen. Maybe I'll send him this one too. It's a really nice warranted nib. No, it's a Frank Frawley pen, number 2. Harville and Lewis. I don't know, maybe I won't send that one because it looks like a mismatched. Never mind. So there we go, Dr. C. Again, I may put another 1 or 2 in by the time I put these things together. I think, though, that the selection that you're getting to play with will be nice. They might be a little bit on the finer side than you might want, but it's nice to have that variety to go into a pen show with, to know the value of a nib that has a small range at the fine side. So there you go. Bye.